$475. This is the average amount of money that US households spends on grocery every month. And like you, I'm feeling that grocery shopping has become more and more expensive. Is organic the right way? Are we being marketed products that are actually unhealthy for us? And on top of that, very expensive. Today, I want to dive more into understanding the secrets that lies behind grocery shopping. And so for that, I'm going to be meeting with a registered dietitian live from a local supermarket here in Las Vegas. Whether you're interested in bettering your food expenses on items that are actually worth it, or you understand in bettering your health with products that are not always the most expensive, this video, guys, is for you, so follow along through this incredible journey. So we are here with the expert. Again, the goal of today, guys, is to find a healthy diet for less than $300 per month. That's the challenge.
That's the challenge. It's fine. It's absolutely fine. For one person, you can do it.
And we'll also be looking at tricks and tips for families as well. What are your thoughts on fruits in general, and especially things when we think about organic? Is organic a scam?
Not a scam. There are some things that are potentially better to do organic, but you do absolutely not need to get organic food in order to be healthy. Getting organic is honestly more expensive, and so many people seem to stress themselves out thinking that they can't be healthy without buying organic. Don't worry about it. Eat the rainbow. So when you see all these beautiful different colors, eat all the beautiful different colors. Each different color signifies a different nutrient. So by eating the rainbow, you're making sure that you're getting that balanced diet.
So as we think about our budget here, what are some of the top fruits or vegetables that you would recommend us to start looking into?
I would honestly recommend bananas and apples. Those are the most affordable, but don't feel limited to having to buy food that is fresh. Food that is frozen has been frozen when it was fresh. It's actually higher in nutrients rather than these foods that are losing their nutrients by the day. So if you get the frozen food, it's cheaper. You're still getting all the nutrients that you need. I know that's not exactly great to have like frozen strawberries as a normal strawberry, but if you're making a smoothie, frozen's gonna be even better.
Wow. Good tip. That's good to know. I didn't know about that. All right.
So quantities for things like this, like yes, a banana has a lot of nutrients. It is a nutrient-dense food, but high in nutrients does not mean that you can have as much of it as you want. It still has calories. So for instance, one banana is going to take you about an hour's worth of walking to provide the same amount of energy that a banana gives you. But it's also important to recognize the impact of sugar. So a banana, while a fruit, while wonderful and amazing, it's still sugar. So have things in moderation. Have a banana maybe early in the morning. If you want fruit later on that day, have it later on. That way you're not having all that sugar all at one time. The main rule of thumb whenever you're eating is to try to get a source of protein when you can. So sure, you love banana, maybe also have that with Greek yogurt.
Apples. Is there any specific type of apples, or just randoms are actually perfectly fine?
So getting the apples that are on sale, if you buy them in bulk.
Woo, that's $4.49.
Yeah.
Okay, but I see some sales over there. Maybe we can benefit from that. Pink Lady, $3.70. Not bad. Probably need about 2 bags of those, let's say, for a month. Does that seem fair?
Sure, but what I would do is, the good way to save money is to make sure that you're not buying too much at once.
When we think about a healthy diet, what type of vegetables would you want to bring into?
It's about having a variety. So if you have a variety, you're getting all the different nutrients that you need, and just like the fruit, if you get it frozen, it tends to be a lot more cost effective. If I'm on a tight budget, I buy almost exclusively frozen, maybe bananas.
Wow, all right, then let's go towards our other section here. Raw kombucha and all of that. I've never really enjoyed them myself, but I know it's a trend. What do you think about that?
Exactly that. It's a trend. It's still sugar. It's still going to not provide a lot of nutrition. If you want it, it's fine. That's still a sometimes food. And that's what I call those. I'll never say that a food's bad, that you can't have something. It's just have them sometimes in moderation.
What are we thinking here about kind of types of breads?
These are good, yes, but they are expensive. You can get a loaf of like classic bread for 89 cents if you go to the grocery store like Lidl, if you go to Aldi. So maybe if you have access to multiple stores, you can go ahead and get that there. You can pop it in the freezer, that way you've got enough for later. Bread stores really well in the freezer, don't put it in the fridge. So sourdough, the changes are so small. I would say it's mostly just the fact that it's a fermented food. You could easily get that with kimchi, sauerkraut, pickles. It's just about having the food that's going to foster a good gut bacteria.
If you guys have seen the show, find yourself in a pretty tough financial situation when you felt kind of food scare. Can you help me define that?
Yeah, so I was food insecure for a little bit right after. I was spending all my food money on my credit card. So I did not have an income until maybe 2-3 months of being independent. So I had no money and I needed to make sure that I was able to make ends meet. So I ended up spending probably about $36 a week on food.
$36
a week.
How were you living on $36 a week?
No snacks, no fun. A lot of rice, beans. So I would have like
typical rice and
egg
beans.
on toast with banana in the morning. And then I would have rice and beans with whatever vegetable was on sale in the freezer section for lunch. And then for dinner, I would probably have lentils or tofu, whatever one was on sale. So you can always use those meat substitutes because all you need is protein. You don't need meat.
As we look into all of those cheeses and something, if we are on a budget, is it something that we should consider?
Sure, a lot of people find enjoyment in cheese. Cheese is honestly how most Americans get good sources of calcium. Especially if they're on WIC or on SNAP, they do get money for cheese. So what you can do is if you're on a tight budget, if you're buying the things that are already prepackaged, you're paying for the convenience. So you can absolutely get that if you have that room in your budget. Like this is only $2.49, so that's going to be a better bang for your buck than buying the big block and cutting it. That's not worth your time.
But you know, me being French with much respect, when I look at this, you know, this is not cheese to me. This is mostly like processed food.
Yeah.
What do you think about this? I mean,
again, moderation.
Moderation.
The fact that this is still a good source of calcium for people. So a lot of the foods that we think of as like, oh, unhealthy, like I need to stay away from that. Those are the foods that a lot of Americans lean on, especially those who are lower income. And those are the foods that we tend to fortify with extra iron, with extra B vitamins, with zinc to ensure that there are no major gaps in the United States population.
wow.
In their nutrition, yeah. So having those foods are sometimes better. So for instance, sometimes people who have like fortified cereals, fortified pre-made processed bread tend to be less likely to have nutrient deficiencies than those who may try to go to the organic, all fresh, freshly made, and then they have like just that food that they eat every day, and then that's when the gaps in their diet can come into play.
Wow, I never thought of that. It almost is contradictory to what you would think, right? I mean, that doesn't mean that we should eat a ton of processed food neither, you know?
Correct. I will go with whatever's on sale. Like for me, if it's all the same, like, okay, this roughly the same calories, this one has slightly more saturated fat, which is going to be harder on your heart, and same amount of protein. If you like them the same, go for the one that has lower saturated fat, lower sodium. Hot dogs are a sometimes food. Totally fine to have them sometimes, in moderation.
What do you think about all of those pre-made meals and so on, bang for buck? Is that
Expensive.
Yeah,
No, they're far
let's
too
forget
expensive.
about it. What about those processed meat here? A lot of
Processed
Americans.
meat, the same. Yep. It's about having it in moderation. It can be a great way to make sure that you stay at home. Often, the biggest downfall for people with their budget in food is the fact that they end up eating out because the fact that they didn't have those options that they could easily prepare. Chicken.
What are we thinking here?
Chicken's great. Like the fact that it's $2.69 a pound is incredible right now. So that's a good option. Buy it in bulk. You can always freeze it, separate it, take care of it that way. And also it's the fact that you can find other ways to get the food that you want. Like in America, we mostly eat breast, like chicken breast. There's also chicken thighs, chicken drumsticks that are so much more affordable. Like here, this chicken breast, let's see, that's 5 pounds is $10. At the same time, 5 pounds of chicken drumsticks are $5. So it's literally, that's $10, this is $5.
But this has less fat, right? But you wouldn't really think that has not of a big difference in
It's
fat?
all about having that body budget that we talked about earlier. So if you have the fat on your chicken, if you're having the chicken skin, then maybe don't also add a lot of butter to your dish.
I see. So we should potentially take something like one like this.
Absolutely. With beef or turkey, those are always good. If you like them the same, go for the turkey. Go for the one that's lower in fat. To spread your budget a little bit further, I would go either half the ground meat and half lentils or half tofu or half mushrooms. Red meat, it is good to have in moderation. So maybe don't have red meat every night. So if you want to have that steak, it is a bit more expensive. Sometimes in the back, the butcher may have something on sale that is a cut that people don't tend to go for. So also, if you go for the different cuts of meat, you may just need to know how to cook it differently in order to keep that tenderness that you may think that you can only get from a higher level sirloin or filet. I like to go grocery shopping like once a week when I'm on a budget. That way I can use the stuff I already have that's about to go bad and find ways to fill in those gaps.
This one is definitely the way to go. All right.
Well, one of the best things that you can do to keep the cost down is also to go in with a grocery list. Have a set meal plan in mind, know what you're going to make, and go in with a plan. That way you're not distracted by all the fun colors that you see of all the foods that are new and exciting.
Sausage here, pork.
I don't like to recommend them, but have them in moderation.
Pre-made chicken breast and fries and dinosaur-looking nuggets.
Yeah, so pre-made foods are great. You know, so many of us are so busy, especially if we're trying to work a little bit extra to make ends meet. There's nothing wrong with using pre-made food. Well, one, like, I am a big fan of dino nuggies. Like, I will always go for the dino nuggies. But it's the fact of, you know, not having it all the time. Maybe if you put it in your freezer, don't get it for another month. Maybe next time, if you want an easy meal that's quick and ready, maybe you may go for like one of those like pre-made meals that's like a stir fry. It's about having it sometimes in moderation, being mindful of the fact that don't eat chicken nuggies every night.
Also seeing some fake vegan chicken. What are your thoughts on those?
They tend to be pretty pricey.
That's true.
So yes, while veganism as a whole, as a general idea, does tend to be something that is more healthy, but the alternatives tend to have the same amount of saturated fat, tend to have the same amount of sodium, those sorts of things. So have them in moderation.
What do you think about all those frozen chicken instead of the fresh?
Whenever you're really hard up for money, this is a great way to go. They're not going to have the same texture, so I like to do this for stuff where it's going to be hidden a bit. So for instance, if I'm doing like a chicken parmesan, this is totally fine.
Eggs, one of the most inflated items. I used to buy them for 99 cents and now I'm looking at $5. What's going on here?
The best thing that you can do is buy them in large quantities. With eggs are a great source of protein. They're so much more affordable than meat. So dollar for dollar, eggs can be a really great way to make sure that you're getting a source of protein in the morning, but you're getting it for a snack. Hard-boiled eggs are so easy to have on the go and to have an affordable source of protein.
So I was told that pasture eggs is the way to go if we, are a little bit fancy, but everything else like cage-free or free range, all of that is the same. It's either pasture or nothing else. Is that the case?
You know, it's not really worth your cost for your health. Don't worry about it. Try and get them when you can, when they're on sale. Go for it. But if that's not accessible to you, don't worry about it.
Now, hitting my blood sugar spikes, juice. Yes. When I was young, I thought this was the way to go. This is healthy, but in fact, recently I heard that it's pretty much the opposite.
The best thing that you can do is drink water. Things that are going to spike your blood sugar are primarily juices and liquids. We've removed all of the fiber, all of the pulp for most of these. So that means that you've removed everything that's going to stop it from hitting your blood sugar so quickly. Like a 20-ounce glass of orange juice has more calories and more sugar than a Twinkie. So it's important to have that in consideration, yeah. So with butter, honestly, I get is whatever on sale, but I always go for the unsalted for my health because that way you can control how much salt is in there. I go for the store brand just because it's a great way to go. So here, it's like $2 less.
Perfect. All right, now let's look a little bit about not artificial, but plant-based milk. My partner being vegan, plenty of experience, and I was told that it may not be the best way, especially with all the gums, additives, and so on. What are we thinking?
Correct, yes. They do tend to add a lot of additives and a lot of foods that we call grass, which is generally regarded as safe until we find out otherwise. So it's good to have those in moderation because we don't know everything that's in there. And also, yes, it is going to have that lack of cholesterol because cholesterol is only found in foods that come from animals. But it's also important to note that being non-dairy does not instantly mean healthy. This is still 7 grams of added sugar. This is still saturated fat. That's the one that's harder on your heart. It still has sodium. It's still just a carbohydrate hit.
If you were to choose between this one or regular milk, what would you choose?
I would choose that just because it's the fact that it's, again, lower in calories. It's still got a lot of protein. If I'm on a budget, I will go for the normal milk.
Which one would you go, the full or the 2%?
It depends on the age of the person, actually.
Okay, so I'm a 30 years old person. Which one would I take then? The skim milk?
Skim milk. No, and look at that, $2.49, especially if you have WIC or if you're on food stamps, that's covered.
Okay, a lot of people go to Starbucks, but we don't, right? What are we thinking about all of those creams and so on? Is it something that you would recommend or not really?
I think they're a luxury. If you're low on money, I think that this should be like the last thing. So if you like to have your coffee every day and you want it to be something sweet, maybe go for something that is lower in sugar, lower in sodium, if it's all the same to you. If it's something that you have rarely or on occasion, is something that you like to have when you're just really in the mood, that's when it's fine to go for like the cold foam creamer with the pumpkin spice latte.
But again, guys, one of this is one Starbucks. So I'd rather you take this and do your own at home than take Starbucks every day. Yogurts, also another miss, a bomb of sugar, depending on the one you take, isn't that
correct?
right?
Yes. So when doing yogurts, the best thing that you can do is to buy the larger portions. I get this one whenever I'm on a budget. It's totally fine.
All right, excellent.
And another tip is to get the ones that do not have fruit in it. Just like the butter, add in your own fruit. Be in control of the amount of sugar that's in there.
Let's transition to probably one of your favorite sections.
Yes.
Frozen fruits.
So let's look at this. So 48 ounces of a fruit medley is $9 compared to, what was this? This was on sale too.
$4 something.
But they're organic. It may be part of why it's so expensive. Those were what, about $3.79 or so? So you're gonna get a good bang for your buck.
Probably sustainable for about a week or so.
That'll be good in your freezer for about 3 months. With ice cream, my thought is, okay, so can you find me 2 flavors that you would like equally?
Oh, I would do something like, old
Okay,
fashioned.
there's vanilla. Yep.
And double chocolate.
Okay, so these are all the same to you?
Yep.
Okay, so because these are all the same to you, maybe you can see like, okay, this one's 210 calories. Same amount of sugar, so that's the same. This one has 1 gram more of protein, but that's only 20% more. And they have the same amount of saturated fat, and this is half the sodium. So if you like them all the same, or that way, this is going to be a better option. So that way you can spend your calories, spend your fat, spend your cholesterol, sodium elsewhere in the day.
You pretty much think of your kind of calorie intake the same way as a budget, pretty much.
Correct.
You have a budget every day, and what should be kind of the number that people, I know everybody says like 2,000 is the number to go. Is that the case, or is just
It all depends on the person, you know. No one body is the same as someone else's. And so I like to focus less on calories and more on satisfaction from food. If you primarily focus on getting good sources of protein, getting good sources of fiber, you are going to feel more full and more satisfied, and you're not going to constantly feel that hunger that you may feel if, for instance, you have a slice of cake. If you have a bunch of cake, no matter how much cake you have, you're going to find that you're going to be hungry in like an hour or two because you don't have that protein. But if you eat like a ton of chicken wings and a slice of cake, you're not hungry for like 3-4 hours.
How should they be thinking here about kind of that frozen section here? Is this a good deal? Is it healthy? What are we thinking?
Be in control of what you eat. Get the ones that are plain, get the ones that are empty. That way you can always add your own sauce, you can add your own flavor. I just shop whatever's on sale whenever I need to stick to a lower budget. Broccoli tends to be on sale the most. Edamame is a really great source of protein, especially if you don't eat a lot of meat or if you're trying to save money, you can have edamame as an alternative to that meat. Broccoli forts are great, but I would look and see if maybe the broccoli cuts are cheaper.
Boom.
There you go, $1.49 versus $1.99.
What do you think about those kind of small, cheap, $1, $2 meals?
High in sodium, it's going to be hard on your heart if you have those often.
Beers.
Expensive. So have it in moderation, enjoy it with your friends.
Pizzas is kind of the same as the other meal, right? It's an easy bake, it's nice and easy to do, but
Yeah, just be mindful of the price because yeah, sometimes this could be a really great way to go, but sometimes if you look, maybe you can find like the bagels with the sauce and the cheese and the pepperoni, whatever toppings you want, might be more cost effective. So you can always like go to the store and get a frozen dough, add the cheese, add the sauce, make it your own. Again, that's going to be lower in a lot of those different things such as sodium, saturated fat. So shop the sales. This is absolutely a great way to go. Like you may find that Getting a larger size of a can is totally fine. If you're able to use it all up, you can also always freeze it. It'll be good for about a month once you open it and keep it in the freezer.
2 glasses of juice.
Is that the size of a Twinkie? I thought they were larger.
Now let's look into one of an expensive area for Americans, sodas.
Soda is so expensive and you're not even going to feel full after having it. So if you're on a budget, it's something that I would limit quite a bit. So many people do tend to go for the fads. They're like, oh, I need juice. Like, juice is healthy. Juice is something I can have, because you find that people who are of lower income also tend to have, they tend to be less likely to have continued education. So they might not know how to read a nutrition label. They might not know how much sugar it is. It's just like, oh, juice, it has nutrients.
And here, as beautiful as it is, we have a rainbow, but a rainbow of fries.
Yes.
So that's not something we may want, but...
I let myself have them without guilt. It's about having them sometimes. It might help you to keep your portion sizes realistic. That will help spread your bag a little bit further. Maybe put it into another container so that way you can see how much you're eating. I want to make sure that people know that it's not like one of these is going to be significantly healthier. Like having Sun Chips is not going to be a whole lot healthier than having your Cheetos.
We'll be choosing this one just because it's good quality and it's a treat.
Yeah,
right?
And it's a treat. And honestly, so those chips, I like to dip them in like onion dip. If you make that onion dip with your Greek yogurt, you're having that source of protein. Again, that's going to help you make you feel full, and then your blood sugar is going to be a bit more stable.
When you think about cooking, is there a preferable type of oil that you recommend?
So the best thing that I would recommend is using olive oil most of the time. So buying the larger size, buying whatever's on sale, that's going to help you out.
Something like this, yeah. Okay. You know, the ravioli of the world, I can't remember the name.
Yeah, these are great. It's a great way to make sure that you have food to eat. Look how affordable it is. Look how it's something that's already made. If you're on a budget, I would make sure that you're getting something with a source of protein, because if you're on a budget, it needs to be a whole balanced meal. So balance means a source of protein, fat, and carbohydrates.
So something like lentils would be something.
Yeah, absolutely.
Ramen, one of the biggest scams and often spoken as the ultimate way to reduce your food costs. What are we thinking here?
It's a great way to fill in the gaps if you don't have another way to eat.
Yeah.
It's definitely an option that
That's true.
Some people are resigned to have to make. I would maybe see if you like having it with only like half of the packet. That way you're reducing the amount of sodium. Maybe add an egg to it, maybe add a vegetable to it. That way you're making sure you're having that balance, and then you'll actually be full.
Cans, vegetables, and so on, is that something that you would like as well?
Super affordable for a lot of people. Sometimes it can be more affordable than the ones that are in the freezer. And they can be great for the fact that you don't have to worry about taking up freezer space. So that can be really, really great. With the cans, I would just make sure that you get the ones that are like no salt added, that are in water, because sometimes they can be pretty sneaky and store them in syrups.
Beans?
Beans are great. Look how affordable this is, 89 cents. The dried beans are going to be the best bang for your buck. So this is $2.69, and this is 16 ounces of dried beans. So that's going to go so much further.
Is there a difference between brown rice and white rice? I've heard that brown rice is the way to go. White rice spikes your blood sugar, or is it pretty much the same?
I'd rather not eat rice than eat brown rice. I don't like it. I won't eat it. I don't enjoy it. It brings me no pleasure. Food's about pleasure too.
Oh, okay.
So brown rice is fine, but it's just like a source of protein. It's a source of fiber. So this one, you're not even supposed to rinse it because the fact that it probably has thiamine added into it. Yep, thiamine, niacin. So it's got B1, B3, and folic acid in here, along with iron as well, which a lot of people who are lower income tend to be lacking because we may get those in meat, and meat's expensive.
Something that you may, for the most part, be expecting when you think about a healthy diet, but it doesn't have to be crazy expensive.
No.
The biggest thing that people are going to say, though, is, look, I like flavor. I mean, you're giving me some tough things here. I mean, I know this is healthy, but how do I bring flavor to something like this?
Sure. Having those meals ready and available when you're hungry is going to be a great way to stick to that budget. And make the meal simple. That way, when you make it simple, you can add a sauce later on. You can maybe add like tomatoes to this one. You could maybe add something else to the other one to add that flavor that you're looking for.
About those cans, fruits and something like this, I mean, it's generally much more expensive.
Correct.
And it's in syrup and so on.
Yes, so definitely try and make sure that it's in 100% juice.
I want a treat. I want a cookie, an Oreo, or something like this. What do you recommend for kind of indulgence?
Oreo's the first thing that came to your mind, so I'd say get Oreos. That's the way to go, because if you don't have that, you're gonna be like, oh, I just really want an Oreo, and then you're gonna have that apple, and then you're gonna have that yogurt, and then you're gonna also have, like, I don't know, maybe cinnamon sugar toast if you're really on a budget, and then you're like, yeah, I still want that Oreo, because you're not actually satisfied. So if you have the Oreos, if you have them in moderation, then have the Oreos.
Excellent. Let's see how much all of this cost us, guys. So the total comes today, guys, at $85. And here, if you were to think about kind of how long would this last someone, how are you thinking?
For a single person, I think that a lot of those things could probably last the month, like the rice, like dried beans. I would say the rest might last like a week. So for instance, a normal person can go through that bag of chips in a week. The broccoli will be used up in a night or two. And it's also important to note that we didn't put in a code for a phone number. So a lot of those were on sale for members. So that could bring the price down quite a bit.
What are some of the final things that you would want to mention?
And the final thing that I would say is don't be too proud to ask for help when you need it. There are resources in place for people who need it.
Look, thank you so much, Katherine, for kind of walking us through this experience here. Let me know as well, what are your thoughts of this live, in action, in person, documentary style. But again, thank you so much, Katherine, for your time.
Thanks for
we
having
hope
me.
to see you in another video. Until then, we'll see you next time. À bientôt.